What's going on, everybody? Karl Nell back. Miss Karl Nell. Haven't heard him talking as much anymore. But he's back, and he's on a Fox News. There seems to be more of the mainstream outlets that are talking about this after age of disclosure, or at least having features about it. And to be fair, and MSNBC, Fox News, they've covered the topic before, but it just seems like longer segments have been allotted to the shows now since age of disclosure. At least more people are talking about it. I saw something on like Bill Maher is going on, and like a very bipartisan back and forth that they've been covering this since then. And that was overall the goal, and I think the most important thing. But Karl Nell was on Fox News and said the following, and again, bold claims to be saying on the news, and a thing that when you see people that watch these shows, and I made it many times over, that you who's watching this right now, very familiar, most likely, with Karl Nell and the things that he said and how he's been saying the things you're about to hear in just a second many times over. But as I have reiterated and other people have reiterated, it is very important for people who are just casually watching their news and then a segment comes up with the guy that we all know saying the things that we know and now they know. So take a listen to this segment with Karl Nell, and then we'll talk about the importance of it and what he said on the other side. Check it out.
Somewhere in this country, there are craft that are being held from that have landed here or crashed here, and there are biologics, human, non-human bodies.
That's correct.
Someplace in this country?
Someplace.
In this program.
Correct.
Okay, so it's, again, a confirmation, and he didn't say much except that's correct. But what is, again, very, very important is the fact that here is this guy that is saying on the national news, we've got ships, we've got bodies, and, now this is the thing. If you've been following my coverage on this stuff for the last 3 years, why I have said for so long that the national news coverage is key to this. And a lot of people, a lot of you have pushed back on that. A lot of you have said, well, as long as we're talking about it and that we don't need the national news, no one watches the national news. It is a sheep mentality, everybody. It's just how it is. In the same way that when you see the Haktua girl and it's going around and around, everybody knows who she is. You can have whatever opinion you want of it, but you know who it is. If it's only covered in a certain circle, you don't know what it is. So there are people, and it is not dead, the national news, because that's how a lot of people still get their news, especially of a certain age range. Now, you're not incorrect when you say that there's a lot of younger generations that are getting their news through social media, but the world is not made up of just young people. So having this and having this coverage here by this military force, and essentially was David Grush's boss, right, who probably was one of the people that gave David Grush the information that he had to testify in front of everybody back in 2023. The amount of information that he probably got from Karl Nell and certain things that Karl Nell just couldn't do. Now, Karl Nell has not testified. He's always one of those people that I really want to see testify. It is always the conversation that I have that I always wonder of, okay, well, here's Karl Nell out there on a national news network saying, yeah, we have these things. Somewhere there's a ship. Somewhere there's these bodies. But he ain't testifying. Now, that to me means he doesn't want to break the rules. And the rules say what you want on radio, TV, it could be whatever it might be. We don't want you talking, but we really can't do anything to you if you do that because you're not under oath. You might just be trying to sell a book. People, it's like, we've been down this road before. People will be like, yeah, all right, sure. It's testifying in front of Congress and under oath. That starts to put you into a problem because then they go, well, wait a minute. Now you're really putting out all the information out there. You're saying everything that we don't want you to say, and you're saying a lot of the things you've already said on podcasts and other stuff, but now you're saying it on the record. And now people are going to start looking into it. And you would lose all these different, you're breaking classified information. You are now, you're threatening your job and all that. And we said that the important things that I think that are crucial are this, talking on a national news level, and somebody's got to step up. Where's Bigelow, by the way? And I think that one of the answers going to come here is Bigelow doesn't want disclosure. Because Bigelow, you figure, would put some money into this and say, you know what? I'll fund the damn whistleblower project. But he probably doesn't want anybody talking about it. I don't know. In the same way that, you get some of these billionaires or millionaires that are running these secret programs and all wherever they're running it, that they could probably also put money in. Like, no, I don't want people I don't want that UPA, DA, whatever the hell it's called, to get passed. I don't want that getting passed. They're going to take all my shit. I don't want that. But the importance of this, and again, I want to give props to UAP James for posting that clip. The importance of this is that, let's say, whoever it might be who was on the fence about this stuff or heard something about age of disclosure or knew nothing about it, sitting there watching and getting caught up in their daily news, whatever it is, and then here comes this. And you're like, holy shit, man. I don't know why that's the voice. That was that particular region. I'll give you another one so that way you don't think I'm picking on one region. Hey, come on, take a look at this. This guy's talking about ships and alien bodies. Tony, get in it. So it's everywhere. It's East Coast. It's South. Just stop whatever you're doing right now. Point is, it is very, very important for people to keep talking. And I hope, and I also hope, that the age of disclosure gets people on a certain level to do more of these interviews, to be requested to be on more of these interviews. And, some of these people that are who have been doing Rogan forever or other shows or smaller shows forever, start to do these. Because what News Nation was doing and what The Wire, I think, just kind of disappeared as far as coverage goes. But what News Nation's been doing for over 3 years, I hope that they start to try to capitalize on it. Look, it's not a bad thing. If they feel like they're gonna, these segments that they're doing are the most tuned in ones, and then they finally catch on that they should be covering it now that it's not as taboo anymore. Who cares? Let them capitalize on it as long as they're pushing the information. Never understood that. When people are just like, oh, the grifters. If people are talking about it, and I guess I can understand if you're like, if inside of that mentality of people who we say are grifting don't really give a shit about the topic, then I think that I'm with you on that. But if people are talking about the subject matter and are really engaged in it and care and are asking questions about it, but still capitalizing off of it, what do you care? As long as people are out there talking about it. Like, of course, you could tell News Nation was putting out so many videos because they realized, I put a video out about this that normally gets millions of views for other networks are doing shit for us. But I put a UFO video out. It does hundreds of thousands of views. Let's do 20 of them. I get it. I understand. But I don't think it takes away from that. I don't think that means that Ross Coulthart isn't invested in the subject. I think that Chris Cuomo asked questions about the subject. I think the stupid little green men thing he does is moronic. But other than that, I think he cares about the subject. He wants to know where the money's going. And I think that that's what they need to do on the other networks is find out who really cares from their team. Bill Maher seems to care. I watched his interview with Dan Farah and the things that he was saying. I was impressed. I've never necessarily been a real fan of Bill Maher. I think that a lot of times he can come off very pompous. I think he can come off as arrogant and just one-sided of saying, if I feel this way, you're not going to convince me. I didn't come off that way to me on this subject. I got to give him his props. I thought he approached it in a very, very solid way and didn't do that. If you would have asked me, I would have guessed and gone, was he going to turn his nose up on it and say, all these goofballs who are drinking moonshine behind the shed and this and that? He didn't do that at all. Quite the opposite. He asked questions, really good questions. That's the type of stuff you need. And it will get other people talking. Because like I said, unfortunately, it's a sheep mentality. If you're a Bill Maher fan or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, Bill Maher is really asking questions, I don't know, maybe I'll look into it. It's just how it works. Not for everybody. I'm not saying that you are like that, but most people are like that. So Karl Nell out there discussing this on television now, it's a good thing. What do you guys think? Like it? Not like it? Don't care? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Got a couple of videos coming out this week. Hopefully, I want to do. I'm trying up my game to two a day. That's my goal. My goal is 2 a day. I've got a very close friend of mine whose pops watches the show and has requested that I do more interviews. I have to say to that wonderful gentleman, I cannot do it. I just don't have the time. And as I said before, there are people who are going to dive deep into this. I want to ask the casual questions. And when I see a piece of news like this, and by the way, you want to write a comment, oh, you do. You take a news clip and talk about it. Yeah, that's the whole point. You see a news clip, and then you just say, wait a minute, let's talk about the news. That's what I would do with my friends on the couch. That's what I would do with someone walking by. Oh, you hear that piece of news? Let's talk about it. So if you write that and you think I'm going to go, oh my God, I question my life's decisions. You're wrong, buddy. How about that? So put your thoughts in there. Let me know what you think. I'll be back for some more stuff. Prize Picks, baby. I'll tell you about them, and then I'll be back here tomorrow. Peace. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. So the holiday season is here, and it really is the best time for sports. Bowl games, basketball matches, playoff pushes, it is all happening at once. And so while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what you're going to eat, which games to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. You know, I got a friend of mine who's not caught up as much in sports. Not really even, he's still explaining what a first down is. But then we started playing on Prize Picks, and I showed how to do Prize Picks, and she's sending me messages on Sunday about who she's picking up in her lineup. It's exciting. It gets everybody amped up to watch the game. For me, it's all about football. I'm not going to lie to you. On my first pick, I lost. It's still fun. You just keep on playing. You have a good time doing it, and it's just when you get that win, you're like, okay, I'm feeling it. You know, there's a new feature alert that they have now. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you can have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And that's pretty great. So I love how straightforward Prize Picks is. I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to calculate my payouts. Prize Picks makes it easy with their payout multipliers. Whether it's just a simple 3-time or big 2,000, Prize Picks makes it easy to understand how much I can win. It's simple to play. You just pick more or less for at least 2-player stats. If you get your picks right, you cash in. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. Download the Prize Picks app today and use that code DTE. You're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code DTE. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.